Hi guys, welcome to week 3 or lesson 2 for Bio 221 General Microbiology. At this point I think some of you guys are starting to freak out. I know that quiz that you just took was a little bit difficult. The average was really low. It was a 69 class average on that quiz. Like I tried to emphasize at the beginning, the quizzes, the exams are much harder than people seem to be aware of. So hopefully that was an awakening, and now you can really jump in and recover from that and really start studying now that you kind of have an idea. The readings and practices, I mean, there's a lot of material in there. You really do need to be spending the time studying. If this was a normal class, we'd be meeting Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at least an hour. So we'd be meeting, for an hour lecture 3 times a week, plus you'd have a lab component, and then you'd be doing studying and homework on the outside. So if you're not, you need to be putting in 10 to 12 hours a week studying, really trying to master this material if you're, to perform well on the quizzes and on the exams. I'm not trying to scare you. Everyone can recover from where we're at. I'm hoping to have lots of A's and B's. Just need to really kick it into gear and really start studying and focusing, and let me know how I can help. The online classes are great. I enjoy them, but I do miss the face-to-face student contact, but I still want to be available and helpful. So don't be hesitant at all to contact me. And again, a reminder about my office hours. You can connect. We can see each other face-to-face through Adobe Connect, and that can be a great option as well. Okay, let me just show you a couple things. So we're still in Unit 1. So if you look at my mouse, we're now in Lesson 2. So Lesson 2, we're going to start with, we'll be doing Chapter 3 this week, learning about gram-positive, gram-negative bacteria, what classifies a bacteria as gram-positive, gram-negative. So learning about the cell wall, learning about peptidoglycan, how they stain, some of the structures of the bacteria, how we can distinguish them based on shape. So it's kind of a bread and butter material for microbiology. This will come up again and again. For quizzes this week, for the exam, for the final exam, you have to know the difference between gram-positive and gram-negative. So begin with looking at the clinical connection and looking at something that happened with a farming accident. And then so look at the clinical connection. You can start that anytime, reading the case file that's at the beginning of Chapter 3, then answering some questions about it. Also, at the beginning of each chapter, just as a reminder, we have this clinical connection, but you also have your objectives and vocabulary for every lesson. And so to click on that and actually see, it's pulling up. Let me pull this down. This shows exactly what I'm expecting that you'll be able to understand and accomplish from this lesson. So from this week, you should be able to demonstrate these things, be able to understand, have a firm understanding between morphologies, arrangements of shapes. So if I say, a staphylococcus bacteria, you could draw it out for me. You know exactly what staphyl means and what cocci means, and be able to demonstrate that. Understanding the lipid bilayer, the membranes. Obviously, these bacteria are very sensitive to the environment, so understanding their membranes and that protective outer layer and how it functions is important. And looking at the cell wall. Peptidoglycan is a component in the cell wall that is very unique to bacteria, and because of it we have a lot of antibiotics that target peptidoglycan. Because our cells don't have peptidoglycan, it provides a great target. So we can have drugs that will knock out peptidoglycan and it will kill the bacteria, but it does nothing, has no harmful side effects for us. So understanding peptidoglycan is important for understanding microbiology and how it applies to health. And being able to understand also the structural and the differences between cell walls. There's bacteria are very diverse, and so there's differences between their cell wall, and it's a great way to classify. Immediately we can identify a bacteria and tell if it's gram-positive or gram-negative, which tells us a lot about some characteristics about that bacteria, because we understand what the outer protection is on that bacteria. So make sure you understand those very well, and we can define these specific vocab that's listed here. Let's see. So again, that was in the clinical. You can see this. The objectives and vocabulary are listed each week on the clinical connection. You can also find them if you come up to your course. Coming down to lesson objectives, all of them are listed here, so you can find that as well. But it's listed each week with the clinical connection. And I refer you again to the pacing guide. This is kind of just a reference. You can see, okay, what am I supposed to be getting done this week? And you can see readings and practices. And hopefully at this point you're realizing the course is not, we don't have a lot of busy work. We don't have discussions and worksheets that are just to take up time. It's a very independent study. Each week you're provided with reading opportunities to study. And I shouldn't say reading, because reading, if you're just reading, you won't understand the material. You really need to be studying and really internalizing the material in the sections that are assigned. But you'll read those things, study them out, and then have a weekly quiz and have a weekly clinical submission. I mean, those are the two things that are happening each week. We are still working on our disease presentations. So this is lesson 2. We have 2 more weeks until this is due. A lot of you looking at your reviews, it looks like you guys have got a good start. I would encourage you to continue that. We still have 2 weeks, so make sure you're spending some good time and having a really high quality for your presentation. The disease project is worth 10% of your final grade, and so making sure it's well done is gonna pay off in the end. I've had lots of students asking questions about the disease project, so I wanted to remind everyone, if you go into the course introduction, there's a lot of information in here about your disease project. And so if you go to the group disease presentation, it'll show the basic assignment information, instructions. Okay, so then what should be in this presentation? We're looking to have the basic information so that other students in the class, not knowing anything about West Nile virus or about polio, after your video, can know the basics and know exactly, okay, if it's a bacterial disease, what's the morphology, what's the gram stain, is it positive or negative, the motility, anything that makes it unique, and then being able to understand the reservoir. Okay, so where is it coming from, the signs and symptoms if you're infected, how it's transmitted back between infected hosts, and then how we can treat or prevent it, and any other additional information. The information presented in your disease projects will be, you will be accountable for understanding all of the diseases for the final exam. So making sure that you're providing that information for your fellow students to understand it and be able to pass the exam is important. Okay, so this is, again, the basics are here, found in the course introduction, and the group disease kind of shows you what you need, and then what the video is going to be. Again, it's going to be about 15 minutes. Please use most of that time. Use the 15 minutes. Don't go over. And everyone needs to play a part in that video. So you can each record your own videos, with your phones, with the camera, whatever you can find. There's no requirement on the quality or anything like that, like HD or anything. You can just record a video presenting the information, and then you'll put it together with any video editing software. We've suggested the YouTube video editor, which is fairly straightforward, and there's a tutorial here that you can watch and see how to get that done. And again, I just encourage you to get the material started, start flowing with ideas, make some assignments with your group, and start figuring the video out, because if you try to do it last minute, it'll be a huge headache. And so get that done. And then there's a reminder in here as well that lesson 4, that's also the week of our first exam, and so you'll have lots going on that week. You'll be studying like crazy for the exam, and you'll be trying to finish up this project. So if you could finish the project up sooner rather than later, it would be great. But again, use your time effectively and plan something that will be a great presentation. Down here it tells you exactly what I'm looking for, what will be great. We're looking for the core content, the stuff that was listed above, the signs and symptoms, the etiology, things like that. And then just how well you present. Are you using slides? Are you clearly showing the information? How you're stimulating class interest? Are you making a music video? Are you asking intriguing questions? Are you showing cool pictures and cool facts? What are you doing to keep our interest for the 15 minutes? And being able to show that you're working well with the group and using all your time effectively, and just the overall professionalism. So let me know if you have any questions about that. That is hopefully you're working on that now, and it's coming together well. And again, there's also over here, you can see there's also a whole other tab with the YouTube information, and so it's a free program that's available, and it's a great option. Okay, coming back down to week 2, so the pacing guide. I mean, you're working on your readings, you're doing your quiz. The quiz, you've already survived one. Just be prepared, study hard. It's going to be very similar. Like I said, it's all bacterial shape, gram stain, what makes a gram positive bacteria, what makes a gram negative bacteria, which one has a thicker cell wall, which one has the peptidoglycan. Being able to understand that is critical. And then again, you'll submit a review like you did this week on the progress you've made as a group with your presentation, and also give some feedback for the other students in your group. When we come to grading for the final presentation, 20% of the grade of your grade for the project comes from the evaluations I'm getting from your fellow group members. So make sure you're pulling your weight. If you're not pulling your weight, I'll know about it, and it'll be reflected in that 20% of your grade. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it for now. It's an exciting topic. Like I said, this is a bread and butter chapter. The gram stain is something you absolutely need to know for microbiology. So please, if you have any questions, let me know. The student lounge is available. It wasn't used very much last week. This is supposed to be where you can come and ask, talk about it amongst yourselves. It's not really questions directed towards me, but it's, posting questions, and then if you know the answer to it, respond to your fellow students' questions. It's a discussion amongst each other. And I will say, quite often, if it comes down to the end of the semester and I'm looking at, borderline grades, if a student I see has been super active in the student lounge, has been helpful with other students, that does play a factor. We need to be helping each other out, and so that student lounge can be a great resource. It's a non-judgmental zone. I mean, you can't go wrong asking a question there, even if it seems super simple. Ask it. Make sure you clarify and understand. I think that's it. So good luck this week with studying, and have fun. I apologize. I always try to make these videos so short because I'm worried about your time and getting bored. I wish I had more time to just talk to you about microbiology, because it really is fascinating. I love the microbes. I love how the cell walls are so intricate, and so it's just fascinating how they've evolved to have these protective layers on the outside, and it's fun to know that we've found ways that can just obliterate these cell walls and leave the bacteria completely susceptible to environmental conditions and to being destroyed, essentially. So it's just a fun chapter. You're learning about the bacteria, how they arm themselves, and understanding how the enemy's defenses is a great way for us to know how to defeat them and to come against them. And so good luck this weekend, and let me know how I can help, and I wish you luck. Thanks.